On today's episode of What's Going On with Shipping, we look at the unmanned surface vessel attack against the bulk vessel Tudor in the Red Sea by the Houthi. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. So, the Houthi have launched a successful unmanned surface vessel, basically a remote-controlled boat, into the side of a bulk carrier heading southbound in the Red Sea. The ship has subsequently been abandoned. Ship is adrift and flooding and taking on water. The crew has been removed from the vessel except for one missing crewman who's presumed to be lost. We're going to go ahead and break this down and examine the issue. This is the motor vessel Tudor. I believe her to be struck here on the port side below the bridge wing, and you'll see why in a moment. But the vessel, very much like Ruby Mar, flooding her after engine room. She is loaded. The ship was bound from Russia for India. The ship is Liberian flagged and Greek owned. This is from the Washington Institute site on tracking all attacks in the area. You'll see right here, Tudor is listed as being attacked on June 12th. According to two shipping databases, Greek-based Evanland Shipping Company has been the beneficial owner and commercial operator of the bulk carrier since May 2022. The narrative here, the Houthis attacked the bulk carrier twice, killing one seafarer, leaving the ship severely damaged. According to the UK Maritime Trade Office, the vessel was first hit on the stern by a small craft. CENTCOM, the U.S. Central Command, confirmed that a Houthi USV had struck the vessel. The master later reported the ship was taking on water and was no longer under command, a sign that the vessel lost power. During the second attack, the master reported the ship was hit by an unknown airborne object. In an update issued on June 14th, they reported the ship had been abandoned and was drifting. This is video that was obtained on Telegraph, and I'm going to go ahead and let it play, and then we will do an analysis of it.
It's coming, huh? Domain, yeah? Domain. It's coming, huh? Okay, inside.
So a couple of comments on this. The Tudor has an embarked security detachment. You see about 3 personnel there, 2 of them with long rifles, 1 with a set of binoculars. Back in the day when Somali piracy was in all the rage in the 2000s, a lot of these onboard security detachments were coming from the United States, from Great Britain, from Israel. But nowadays, because of costs, you tend to see the security details come from other countries, Nepal, and a few other countries. And so the proficiency and security level of the personnel that are on board these embarked detachments are not as high as once before. Second of all, one of the things you saw was them trying to identify whether or not there were personnel on board this craft. It's a closer image. It looks like you can see 2 people there, but by magnifying this and blowing in, and based on what was said on that bridge, it doesn't appear that those were personnel on board, that this was an unmanned, that they were probably just dummies or mannequins of some kind meant to show people on board. And by the time they realized what was happening, it seems like they didn't want to take the shots for fear of either exploding the boat close aboard and them being exposed, or thinking that they don't have much chance of stopping this vessel from coming in and making the hit. Either way, the security team was very lax. They failed to take any action to prevent this vessel from being hit. You can see the crew on board. This is looking off the port quarter of the vessel. You can tell by the bridge wing configuration, the solid bulwark is facing forward. The railings there are facing aft. So you're on the port side, the left side of the vessel, and this boat is going to take a big turn and head right into the engine room of the vessel. This next video was filmed on the bridge of the vessel after the explosion took place. And again, go ahead and let this play, and then we'll take a look at it and break it down a bit.
No problem. Easy. Pantarin ka na. No. Helmet na lang. Paano ba ka na dyan na natin agad? Ano yan? Bilisan, bilisan, bilis! Wala yung matawag.
Itawag, min.
Dito sa puno. Dito sa lahat. Akyat lahat sa brace. Akyat lahat sa brace. Akyat lahat sa brace. Akyat lahat sa brace.
So a couple of things on this video. The crew had retreated from the port bridge wing into the vessel, and you could see the shock damage caused by the vessel. One of the things you'll notice here is parts of the overhead of the bridge have fallen onto the deck. You'll notice that when they look to go outside on that port bridge wing, you can see the overhead there is fallen. You can see blast in from the port side, debris in that area on the port side after the bridge. The crew are in the t-shirts and the shorts. Very common for crews, especially in this environment, Southern Red Sea, really hot, to be in that type of attire. Not exactly sure about the nationality of the crew, Filipino or Vietnamese. Not too sure. You can see the helmsman getting back up there on the wheel. There's a call that is made here for, I believe, the captain to come to the bridge. Again, I don't have fluency in the language, so my apologies. Maybe someone can add on to it here, but that was that call that took place to get the captain to the bridge. Then we have a series of still frames showing damage to the vessel. You can see the explosion with shrapnel and holes blown into the side of the ship. This is a compartment above the engine room where you can see the engine room has already flooded with water in and around the area here. You can see that happen. You can see the hull blown out, water in here, and multiple shrapnel holes throughout the vessel. This is looking down in that compartment with the flooded space below it. And again, you can see parts of the crew looking down. Again, one of the crew members was missing, a Filipino who was on board, they believe was down in this engine compartment somewhere. And you could just see that flooding taking place. This is a statement by CENTCOM on June 14th regarding the attack both on the motor vessel Tudor and another vessel, the motor vessel Verbena, which was a Palau flagged vessel, Ukrainian-owned, Polish-operated bulk carrier carrying wood from Malaysia to Italy. It was also subsequently attacked off the Gulf of in the Gulf of Aden, and we do have a video of that vessel attack. You can see the force of the explosion here by the missile or drone that hit it. It was able to penetrate into the vessel and bend the steel on the top deck and on the side of the vessel. This vessel has also been abandoned. There were other vessels in the area were able to pull the crew off and rescue them. There was a note listed by CENTCOM that there was an Iranian frigate in the area but refused to provide assistance during that time. This is a photograph provided by CENTCOM of the crew of Tudor being transported via the helicopters of the Philippine Sea and the Eisenhower to the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower for evacuation. Again, the Houthi have been claiming that they have hit and damaged the Dwight D. Eisenhower. It doesn't appear to be a case here at all. Fortunately, they were able to get all the crew except for that one missing sailor off. This is imagery showing the position of Tudor. She is adrift now in the southern Red Sea. Two salvage tugs, one from Oman, the Gladiator, and one from the UAE, the Hercules, had been dispatched to assist with the vessel. One of the big problems has been the lack of salvage and rescue equipment on scene in this area. Typically, commercial vessels will not go into a war zone. It's very unlikely these vessels are actually going to try to make a play to salvage the Tudor. They may, but more than likely they're not. The ship will be just a write-off, much like we saw with Ruby Mar. This is one of the reasons why you need Navy salvage vessels, because they can be protected by other Navy vessels and they can take the risk that commercial vessels will not take. And then this is a chart done by Skits Intel on the kind of combined attacks we've seen going on so far. One ship sunk, 21 damage. You can see the number of launches, the number of interceptions, of combined strikes. This is as of 16 June 2024, and it has just been a grueling pace here in and around this region. So it looks like the Houthi have been able to do something they haven't done, except in the case of Ruby Mar, which is sink not just one vessel, but two vessels, the Verbena and the Tudor. They have also killed another mariner, making 4 mariners killed by the Houthi in their attacks. And, you know, I get a lot of comments from people sitting there saying, Sal, this can all be solved if the Israelis pull out of Gaza. And I agree, if there's peace in the Middle East, this is all solved. Horrific act against mariners sailing on vessels are not justified because of horrific acts being perpetrated in other areas of the world. The Houthi are declaring a blockade against Israel. None of these vessels are sailing to Israel. None of them. No one's going to Israel. Now, be clear, Houthi, what cargo is getting to Israel every day. It's just sailing on ships and being transloaded in other ports and going into Israel. You are not interdicting them. You are not doing anything. If you're doing anything, you're damaging the port of Eilat in the southern end of Israel on the Gulf of Aqaba, because it's not getting ships, but all that cargo is just going into the Mediterranean coast. You are not interdicting them. You are causing expense. You're making it more expensive around the world to move goods, which is, if that's your objective, then that's what you're succeeding in doing. Again, but that's not what your stated objective is. Your stated objective is to blockade Israel. You're not blockading Israel. Israel is getting all the cargo it needs, as we know. And what we're seeing is the death of innocent mariners. Another mariner has been killed. And again, I am horrified by the images I see in war all the time. I'm a military historian. I've been in the war. I know everything you want to know about war. And believe me, no one wants war. Nobody wants war. Nobody wants genocide. Nobody wants the death of anyone. But killing innocent mariners who are trying to undertake their daily work is not accomplishing your goal, because ships are still sailing through this area. Ships are sailing around Africa. And all you're doing is committing basically piratical acts against global shipping, and unfortunately no one seems to care very much about it. I care, and a few of you care because you're watching this video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, take a moment, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, share it across social media, and if you can, support the page. How do you do that? Hit the super thanks button down below, or head on over to Patreon and become a monthly or yearly subscriber. Until the next video, Sal signing off.